Hello friends, welcome back to another episode of Movies and Melodies. Today it's all about anger. Bollywood and all other Indian movies as well had very good songs to express anger. And this anger could be between the two leading actors or their anger against someone else in the movie, or it could be anger expressed against very unfair societal norms, various things. Anger could be expressed for all kinds of things. So the first song for today is from Guide. 1965 was when it was released. Dev Saab was very impressed by the book. This was written by author R.K. Narayan, and the story is that of Raju Guide, who he is basically a guide in this particular area where this archaeologist comes and he wants to excavate, and the guide helps him find this location and he starts the excavation, etc. He is a very abusive man and neglects his wife. The guide falls in love with the wife and vice versa, and he helps her escape and achieve her dream of becoming a dancer. Meanwhile, there's a misunderstanding between the dancer and the guide. He ends up forging her signature for reasons that become apparent later, but she doesn't know why he forged her signature. So she thinks he's cheating her, and that all the money coming in has kind of corrupted his moral sense. So she is very angry and very upset with him, and this has all happened just before her stage show. So she's unable to discuss this and have it out with him before the show. So she sings this song on stage, expressing her anger at him. Lata ji, of course, singing incredibly beautifully, and Wahida ji on screen is superb. She had a very expressive face and she was a dancer, so she was phenomenal in expressing things. And S.D. Burman's music with Shailendra ji's lyrics, it all came together for a beautiful picturization of a song. मुझसे छल किए जाए सैया बेईमान,
मुझसे छल किए जाए, हाय रे हाय हाय देखो सैया बेईमान, सैया बेईमान, मुझसे छल किए जाए, हाय रे हाय हाय देखो सैया बेईमान.
Sadhana, this was a B.R. Chopra movie, a very progressive kind of a theme, as was the case generally with B.R. Chopra movies. He was sort of an idealist, and he came up with some very interesting pro-women kind of movies. In this movie, Vaijayantimala and Sunil Dutt are the leads, and she is cast in the role of a prostitute. The story is where the professor, Sunil Dutt, he is being pressured by his mother to get married, and she falls ill. So now he's, it's incumbent on him that he has to produce a wife from somewhere to get married. So he comes up with the idea of bribing some woman to play the role of a fiancé. and sort of satisfy his mother before she dies. This is her last wish and so on. So his neighbor tells him that he knows the right person for this role, and he brings this girl, and that's Vaijantimala. He knows that she's a prostitute, but the professor does not know this. And she agrees for a sum of money to play the play the fiancé. And she does such a good job with that role that his mother, completely convinced that this is happening, ends up actually getting better. Now this young man is in a dilemma, right? I mean, he's hired this girl. He doesn't know whether she really wants to get married to him, and what does he do, kind of a thing. So the charade continues, and the lead pair actually fall in love. Then, of course, one day, this girl feels very guilty about the whole thing, and she comes to the mother and she says, no, I can't marry him, and so on. And she goes away. And she tells him too that she cannot marry him, and runs off in distress. And he follows her, finds out that she's a prostitute. Then he yells and screams, and because his whole attitude is that prostitutes are just these bad people, and so on and so forth. So he just has his say, raves and rants, and runs off. She's very distressed by this whole thing, and she sings this song in both anger and sorrow, and kind of a frustration at how basically, again, the women are held at fault for something that is not really their own fault. Nobody really, or rather, I would say 99% of the people would not choose prostitution as their profession of choice if they could find something else to do. So she sings this song out of the sense of, anger at the injustice of the situation. Sahir Ludhianvi, who was a huge feminist, basically, wrote the lyrics for this song. So you can imagine, it's a very powerful song. And N. Datta gave the music for this. Lataji, of course, has just taken it to another height. औरत ने जन्म दिया मर्दों को, मर्दों ने उसे बाजार दिया.
औरत ने जन्म दिया मर्दों को, मर्दों ने उसे बाजार दिया. जब जी चाहा नस्ला कुचला, जब जी चाहा धुतकार दिया. औरत ने जन्म दिया मर्दों को. तुलती है कहीं दीनारों में, बिकती है कहीं बाजारों में. नंगी नचवाई जाती है अय्याशों के दरबारों में. ये वो बेइज्जत चीज है जो बट जाती है इज्जतदारों में. औरत ने जन्म दिया मर्दों को.
In the 60s and even the early 70s, Daku movies were very popular, because this was also the time of the Indian government giving amnesty to the dacoits of Chambal, who were truly fearsome. And so Bollywood cinema, of course, took advantage of the situation and made a bunch of Daku movies. Mera Gaon Mera Desh, this was one of those, huge hit. Dharmendra, of course, is the manly he-man, taking on the fearsome dacoit in the form of an absolutely awesome Vinod Khanna, who plays Daku. Jabbar Singh, not Gabbar, and Asha Parekh is the heroine. You have Lakshmi Chhaya as the villain's girl, who, of course, is in love with the hero, who naturally rejects her in favor of the pure and the morally good heroine. Anyway, in the end, sort of towards the final scenes, the lead pair are captured by the Daku and held captive, And he's, of course, torturing them in the form of, shall I kill you or shall I not, kind of a thing. And Lakshmi Chaya now gets her moment in the sun to sing and dance, and she gets her revenge now on these people. To express her anger and everything, she sings this song. Lataji, of course, again singing this song. Lakshmikant Pyarelal, Anand Bakshi are the musical trio, I guess I should say. मार दिया जाए कि छोड़ दिया जाए, बोल तेरे साथ क्या सलूक किया जाए.
मार दिया जाए कि छोड़ दिया जाए, बोल तेरे साथ क्या सलूक किया जाए. मार दिया जाए कि छोड़ दिया जाए, बोल तेरे साथ क्या सलूक किया जाए. बोल तेरे साथ क्या सलूक किया जाए. जाम दिया जाए कि जहर दिया जाए, बोल तेरे साथ क्या सलूक किया जाए. बोल तेरे साथ क्या सलूक किया जाए. कांच की चूड़ियां भी मैंने खनकाई, अपनी जुल्फी भी मैंने तो बिखराई. कांच की चूड़ियां भी मैंने खनकाई, अपनी जुल्फी भी मैंने तो बिखराई. तुझको जंजीरें हाँ जंजीरें तुझको हाँ, तुझको जंजीरें लेकिन पसंद आई. कैद किया जाए कि छोड़ दिया जाए, बोल तेरे साथ क्या सलूक किया जाए. बोल तेरे साथ क्या सलूक किया जाए.
Dawn, that came out in 1978, one of Amitabh Bachchan's iconic movies. I think personally I really like this among his action movie kind of genre that he did. It's a really beautifully made movie. The story is actually not that unique. Chinatown, starring Shami Kapoor, came out in the 50s. That had the same kind of theme. You know, the evil villain who gets killed by the police has a lookalike who steps in and, you know, helps the police capture the whole ring and the actual real boss who's behind the scenes. So Dawn, played of course by Amitabh Bachchan, both roles are him. He will have been a very cruel, almost psychopathic kind of a boss, and he will have killed one of his gang members who will have expressed a desire to leave this life of crime kind of a thing. He ends up killing that man's wife as well. So now the dead man's sister is wanting revenge against Dawn. So this is Zeenat Aman in the movie, she goes and prepares how to fight and so on, and she manages to embed herself in the gang. In the meanwhile, the actual Don has been killed by the police and he has been replaced by the fake Don. But she, of course, doesn't know this. No one knows it except for the inspector. And so there's a party that he throws so that, you know, all his various contacts and so on come and he can let everybody know that he is fine and, you know, the Don is doing well and so on. So she, at this point, decides that that's when she's going to try and kill him. So there's this whole song that she does, sung by Lataji again, and it's actually a duet. Kishore Kumar also sort of steps in the end. The music was by Kalyanji Anandji. Anjan and Indi both wrote lyrics for the movie, but this particular one has been written by Anjan. And it's an entertaining kind of a scene. जिसका मुझे था इंतज़ार.
जिसका मुझे था इंतज़ार, जिसके तुझको या मर जाना है। मुझ पे जो गुजरी तू क्या जाने, तू क्या समझे ओ दीवाने, लेके रहूंगी बदला तुझसे, आई हूँ दिल की आग बुझाने। ओ कातिल मेरी नजरों से बच के कहाँ जाएगा, कातिल मेरी नजरों से बच के कहाँ जाएगा, दिया है जो मुझको वही तू मुझसे पाएगा। वो घड़ी आ गई फिर बन के जिगर में उतर जाना है, मार देना है तुझको या मर जाना है।
जादू तेरा किस पे चला, होगा किसी दिन ये फैसला। वो घड़ी आएगी आएगी जाना, तूने अभी ये कहाँ जाना है, किसे जीना है और किसको मर जाना है।
Haath Ki Safai had like quite a star-studded cast: Hema Malini, Randhir Kapoor, and Vinod Khanna, Simi Garewal. So it was kind of a story of two brothers who get separated when they're young. Both end up, in a life of crime. One is more of a petty thief, the other is a more serious criminal who deals, with sex trafficking and so on. And Randhir Kapoor ends up betraying the woman he loves because she's a rich heiress, and he is promised a huge sum of money if he brings her in and hands her over to the villain. So he pretends he's in love with her and so on, and then ends up betraying her. So then she is in some kind of a club doing this little cabaret number when he walks in, and she takes this opportunity to express her anger and despair and so on. It's sung again by Lata ji. She's done a really great job, Lata ji, I mean. Tu kya jaane wafa, o bewafa.
तू क्या जाने वफा, ओ बेवफा, ओ बेवफा, प्यार करना तेरे बस की बात नहीं, प्यार करना तेरे बस की बात नहीं, किसी पे मरना तेरे बस की बात नहीं। यार वो कैसे हैं जो प्यार बेचते हैं, ओ यार वो कैसे हैं जो प्यार बेचते हैं, जीना क्या उनका जो यार बेचते हैं। हम उसी को दिल कहेंगे प्यार जिसमें बसा, प्यार ही तो जिंदगी है, प्यार ही है नशा। तू क्या जाने वफा, ओ बेवफा, ओ बेवफा।
Prem Pujari. This was a Navketan movie. Devanand acted and directed the movie, Wahida ji opposite him. It was like a kind of a patriotic theme. Devanand plays this young man who is basically kind of like a raw agent. So he ends up spying for India to protect India from its enemies and so on. His love interest is Wahida ji. Now, when he has to go abroad to uncover this plot, he has to pretend that he's interested in this woman who essentially is the key to leading him to the ring of people who are plotting against India. So he tells Wahida ji he's not interested in her and he's actually interested in this other woman. So she has come abroad, Wahida ji I mean, to sort of surprise him and, you know, meet him and so on. And so she's very taken aback when he says this, and that way he does it publicly. So she is extremely upset and she sings this song at this party to express her anger and her sadness. Lata ji, yet again, seems like she's doing the anger songs for this episode. It was S.D. Burman and Gopal Das Neeraj this time for the lyrics. Rangila re tere rang mein.
रंगीला रे तेरे रंग में यूं रंगा है मेरा मन छलिया रे ना बुझे है किस जल से ये जलन रंगीला रे तेरे रंग में यूं रंगा है मेरा मन छलिया रे ना बुझे है किस जल से ये जलन रंगीला रे पलकों के झूले से सपनों की डोरी प्यार ने बांधी जो तूने वो तोड़ी खेल ये कैसा रे साथी दिया तो झूमे है रोए है बाकी कहीं भी जाए रे रोए या गाए रे चैन ना पाए रे हिया वहाँ रे वाह रंगीला रे तेरे रंग में यूं रंगा है मेरा मन छलिया रे ना बुझे है किसी जल से ये जलन रंगीला रे
That's it for today, folks. I will be back in 2 weeks. Until then, remember, music is food for the soul. Keep listening.